Welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Today, I am joined by the best Capo in all of MLS. I'd like to welcome to the show Adam Booth. How are you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing great. I have not been called the best of anything in a very long time, so I appreciate being called that. I'm great. Happy to be here. Happy to speak to you, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's a blast having you on. Thank you for joining me today. But before we even get into today's topics and everything, I just want to say thank you to you for just doing the job that you're doing as a capo. Just this past season was my first time going to Talent Energy Stadium, and the majority of the stadium I was sitting in the river end, and there's not a moment where I can remember you not going around to each fan in the river end. You shake their hands, you thank them for coming out to the game and everything, and maybe you realize this, maybe you don't, but I think, that goes a long way and everything. And you make the people feel so welcome. So I just want to say thank you for the great job that you're doing.
Appreciate it first and foremost. And secondly, it's just like when you want to come out to a Union game, and especially if you want to come out to the River End, like that's an event, that's not a casual kind of fan experience. So like I want everyone to know that this is a thing. We're going to be doing a thing, and I'm really excited for you to be a part of what we're about to do today. So, my parents taught me some manners, so I try to, be nice and let people know that I'm happy to be with them today.
Yeah, and for all the people that aren't living in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area, just goes to show you that not all Philadelphia people are angry, cranky, and all that jazz. So there are people there who matter and that make you feel like you matter, and they have manners, and so that whole narrative that all people from Philadelphia, they're this certain type of way. Adam's a fine example of that is not the case.
Now, if you catch me at a Sixers game, though, I will be cranky. I won't lie. It might be a little bit of a different Adam and me, but soccer Adam tries to be a little bit more relaxed unless it's a ref, then you get the full brunt of me.
Oh, absolutely. I think all fans can agree on that. I mean, if call goes against us, we're going to let them have it. And it seems like that's been the case a lot in the years. But why don't you start off and tell me how you become a fan of the Philadelphia Union?
I think a lot of fans out there, I was already I guess as they call it, a 4-for-4 Philadelphia sports fan. Some of my earliest memories was the 93 World Series, my grandfather taking me to games in the Spectrum for the Sixers, my mom taking me to Flyers playoff games. So sports has always been a part of me, especially in a city like Philadelphia. It was a way for me to connect to some of my family members. It was a way for me to connect to a lot of my friends. And, when I didn't have topics to discuss, I could always bring up sports. So that was always a fun thing. And coincidentally enough, when I was in middle school, it was time to choose teams. It was 7th grade. It was that time for everyone to choose your after school sports. And it was a classic American struggle between football and soccer for me. But what really sold me was the coach of the soccer team, or the coach of the football team was like, yeah, so we practice for the entire fall and the beginning of spring, or the end of summer, and then the entire fall, and you do full pads for most of the year, and it's exciting. And I was like, all right, cool. How many games do you play? And he's like, 4. And I was like, so you want me to be running around for roughly 9 to 10 weeks in full pads for 4 physical games? And they were like, yeah. And I was just like, how many games are in soccer? And they're like 20. And I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the thing that has 20.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's like, why put your body through all that hell and everything just to play 4 games and everything? So, at least in soccer, you have 20 games. And if you're not starting, at least you have the chance to get substituted on and everything. You have 19 more games if you don't play the first game.
Right. And it's like, at the time I'm like 13 years old. So I'm not necessarily out here trying to really throw the body out there. I'm more concerned with girls than I am with sports at this time in my life. So I'm just like, do I really need to just be doing that much just to be, hanging out after school with people? I'm like, no, that's not necessary. So I started playing soccer from there. I always kind of admired the game, but I never really played it much until middle school. Then I started playing it there. And then once, you kind of get razzled by the football players who are calling you names for being a soccer player, that the deep down Philadelphian in me that gives you that bleep you mentality. And it's just like, well, now I'm into soccer. Like, not only am
Absolutely.
I a soccer player, I am into this game, and like I got fully flung into it. So fast forward, I actually went to boarding school for 1 year in Connecticut, and during that year was when they announced the team. So I already played soccer that year for the boarding school up there, and then they announced the team. Mayor Nutter did the announcement. I think it was like spring of 2009. I think they did the official announcement. And I remember asking my Civil War professor at the time, can I go? Because like we weren't doing anything in class that day. And I don't know if anyone's gone to boarding school or like a day school like that. It's like a college schedule. So a lot of your classes are stagnant in a way where it's like you have 2 hours of nothing in the middle of your day. So like it was about to be one of those 2 hour nothing periods. And I was just like, we're not doing anything in class and I'm about to be free for like so long. Can I just go back to my dorm and watch them announce the soccer team? And because I was super obnoxious that fall because the Phillies won the World Series and they were all Red Sox and Yankees fans, they're like, absolutely not. They're like, no, you sit here, you look at the highlights later. We've had enough of you already.
Yeah. Man, wow. I didn't even think about that. You're right. I mean, 2008, 2009 is when the Phillies won with Ryan Howard, Jim Thome. Man, what a team back then for the Phillies. So, yeah, I love that story and everything. And I mean, it sucks they didn't let you see the official announcement, but hey, it didn't stop the team from not becoming the Union. So they just because Adam Booth didn't get to watch, it doesn't mean no more Philadelphia Union. For the people that don't know, how did you become a capo for the Union?
So that story is, I mean, it's actually kind of interesting because my current girlfriend is Sicilian, and she grew up watching, obviously, the Italian national team and all of their stars. So I was already in the Sons of Ben for maybe about 3 or 4 years at the time, but I was always in the back with like my buddies, and I was just kind of like chuckling and hanging out with them the whole time. But when NYCFC got Pirlo, I think that was maybe about 2007 or 2017, 16, 17, around that time. When he was on the team, my girlfriend and her friend were like, who was also from Italy. They were like, yeah, we couldn't see him while we were in Italy. It was really expensive to go see that caliber of soccer, but he's in America. So we're totally going to Yankee Stadium to watch this guy play. So I was like, all right, let's do it. I think it was like maybe my third Sons of Ben away game. Like I had gone to other games, but like to go with the group, this is probably my third one at the time. And at the time, weirdly, I don't know if anyone's ever gone to an NYCFC game, but they make the group stagnant. So it's like there's two, or like separated, not stagnant, separated, but it was like there's two groups of rows where there's like 3 rows of the Sons of Ben members, and there's like a no man's land of like 5 rows. And then there's another 3 rows of Sons of Ben members. I don't get it. It makes no sense. I've never seen it in any other stadium, but that's how they were doing it. And the front row, I think we were down 1-0, and the front row just had no juice whatsoever. So I'm in the back and I just start singing a Will Smith medley. And I think I get to like Summertime. And at the time, the president, Bill Guzzler, he was just like, yo, can you come up front and do that? Because we're like, can we get some synergy going here? And I did that for the rest of the game. And then the next home game, I'm sitting in the tailgate and he's like, hey, do you want to do that for like a half and see like if you like it, give one of our guys a rest or something? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was 2.5 years ago, and I haven't stopped since. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know myself. I mean, I appreciate everything you do, and I mean, you don't stop. You try to get the crowd going and everything. When we're down, Adam Booth's still going. Adam Booth doesn't give up on his team, and that's what I love about you. And all the chants and everything. I mean, there's been numerous times where I'm going home singing at Wawa, at Wawa, at Wawa, and that's all because of you. So. So I appreciate that. Even though I'm sure my parents, at times are like, yeah, can you knock it off already? But
I'm still waiting for my Wawa sponsorship deal. I'm pretty sure that's on the horizon. Graduated from St. Joseph's in 2013, and I was student section president my senior year there, trying to do the same thing with the students there. And it just kind of, when they asked me to Capo, it was just kind of very natural progression. And while I was at St. Joe's, we weren't really good. Like we got better when I got like towards my senior year, but like my freshman year we were garbage. So being able to be like, I got to be able to cheer through this pain is something that I've kind of gotten very used to. So like the Union, it was just like I have more chance for when we're losing than when we're winning. That's like it's a weird kind of like, but I think of it sometimes. I'm just like, we're up 3 goals. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
This is weird.
You guys, yeah, we're not used to seeing that, right? But what's your favorite thing about being a capo?
It's being able to get a whole group of people into it. You know, it's so cool when you just do something offhand and then you just got a couple hundred people chanting whatever you were doing or, you know, mimicking. Like what you mentioned the Wawa chant. I was just like, I got bored. And then the stuff we used to do back in like I was in row P 136, and in the back there, sometimes you don't hear the capos. So like we would just kind of make variations of the chants and just kind of freestyle on it. And like when I started doing the at Wawa, at Wawa, at Wawa chant, it just kind of fit because like Hoagie Fest somehow just fit into the chant, and I was just like, yeah, I can make this work. And then I remember friends would just text me after the games like, yeah, my kid can't stop singing that. He's just like, he's in the car and he keeps just chanting Wawa. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm happy that worked.
No, it absolutely did. I mean, I see the first time I heard that, it stuck with me. So now I don't even sing the regular song. It's like at Wawa, at Wawa. That's all I hear now is Wawa, Wawa, Wawa. And you're right. Wawa needs to hit you up and like give you an endorsement deal or something. Because I mean, it's free publicity that you're giving them. So
look, just some smoothies, you know, just like a smoothie card or something. I'll take that. Just one of those bottomless mugs of coffee. One of the two, you know, nothing serious.
Yeah, exactly. As long as your card's not getting hacked, right?
Exactly. Actually, never mind. Give me cash.
Yeah,
I need cash. I don't need a paper trail with these guys.
Yeah, exactly. But let's move on to the 2019 season. What are some of your favorite moments from last season? And don't say the first playoff win. We'll go over that a little bit later.
I think last year was a lot of fun. If it just purely at the stadium, I thought the Dallas game was great. You know, I thought that was a good, really comeback. I thought that was a real turning point game because I thought that showed really that this team was consistent enough to win those type of games where in the past they weren't able to. Obviously, the comeback against Red Bull, the first one, the 3-2 game, the Ilsinho game, I mean, 900 people are going to say that because that was just on its ear at another type of level. And like, I'll be real with you. The Atlanta game to me was as big as any game. And like in the LA game too, even though we ended up only tying that game, just the juice there for LAFC was like, it was as electric. It was playoff. It was like we were going for a cup was what that was. And again, going back to the Atlanta game, that game against United was in a way where like, I remember we scored the goal. They got called back to start that game. And I'm jumping into people's arms for that first goal because I was going into that game so nervous. Like people don't know, I am a nervous wreck before, during, and after these games. Like for me, it's putting on the best facade I can and just like powering through whatever is inside me. But like I go home after a Union game exhausted and I sit down and listen to folk music. Like I got to decompress. Like I can't, everyone's like, you go party? I'm like, absolutely not. I go home, I watch YouTube. I can't do things after games. But that was, I mean, those games were really great. And it just to see the stadium act in a way where I hadn't seen it do that in years. Like towards the end, with those last couple of sellouts, I was really impressed by, you know, not just Philly, obviously. It's Delaware, it's Jersey, it's the surrounding area. But to see the Delaware Valley come together and really support that team that was doing good and deserved support, that was really fun to watch. That as a macro was really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit on two out of the 3 games that I've been bringing out with people, the Ilsinho game and then the LAFC game. I mean, yeah, I mean, the LAFC game, I mean, I was nervous. I was not expecting us to win that game at all. And for us to get that early goal and everything and just to see the river end explode and then all the fog in there, I mean, it was just a crazy atmosphere game and everything. And I guess I should probably give an honorable mention to, I forget what game it was, but when they brought the cannon to the game and everything. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And I know people were like, "Oh, we should have this every single game." But I think Tim McDermott was like, "Yeah, now this is a one-time thing." So
yeah, that was military night, and I forget we won that game. I think it was like a 3-1 game. I forget who we beat for military night that night because the only thing I remember is the cannon. And the only thing I remember from the cannon is the 900 complaints I got about the cannon. There's a really fun part about being a capo where people believe you have much more to do with the game day to day, like activity and like production than you actually do. Like I showed up to my capo stand and there was a cannon and a guy in revolutionary garb.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. Like, I got no memo. There was no, like, I'm sure there was someone who sent me an email and I just didn't open it. But I just showed up like everyone else and I was just like, oh, there's a cannon. And then I heard them shoot the cannon and I was like, oh, God, this was a bit much.
I mean, it was definitely intimidating and everything. I don't see, man, don't even get me started. Like, you're in the supporter section, you're there to cheer on the team and everything. And I mean, to hear like people's small comments and everything, complaining about this, that, I'm like, come on, like, you're there to support the team. Like, people have nothing better to do than complain, but hopefully you didn't get a lot of that this season.
No, not at all. No, I feel it's a gift and a curse because, you want people to be passionate. You want people to be involved and you want people to care. And the thing about it is a lot of the people who are very loud complainers that I know are some of the most passionate Union fans that I know. And they really authentically want what's the best for this team. And it's maybe they're just not exactly sure how to express it. Or, maybe they're not sure what it is best. But I believe like it's a gift and a curse. Cause like some of the biggest complaints I get are from people who want a better atmosphere. Like people who want more. It's not like what we're doing is bad. They're just like, I want more chants, or I want a trumpet, or we need more smoke, or we need less smoke. Or it's just like people are, in America, it's interesting because soccer culture is different from every other sport culture, fan-wise. And, like, it's night and day. Like, I think the closest thing I ever compared to was college basketball. Like, college basketball, to me, was the closest thing you got to soccer supporters culture. And coincidentally enough, at St. Joe's, we tried to almost mimic completely the, like, River End style culture, where we even had scarves, our whole section had scarves and we would hold it up and the hawk would never die on the scarves. Like we were trying to get that kind of atmosphere back, but like soccer culture is completely different. So when you get people involved and you get people to do that kind of stuff and that level of stuff, especially Americans who a lot of us are not used to doing that in our day-to-day supporter culture.
Yeah.
You get a lot. It's interesting. And we get a lot of new people who will show up and be like, so why is everyone standing? And I'm like, well, let me tell you about ground zero of supporters culture. And then we can build up to why there's flags in your face,
Yeah, you had to throw that one in there, absolutely. But I mean, the first game I went to was the Toronto game this season. I sat in 117, and the first thing I did was stand in everything. And all these people were yelling at me like, sit down, you're not supposed to stand here. If you want to, it's at the other end. So I was like, I see them stand like on TV in Europe and everything. I was like, I thought it's acceptable here, but I guess not. So I was like, you know what, F this. So after that game and everything, I'm like, I'm sitting down at the river end and everything. And I wasn't sure how it was going to be and everything. But after 30 seconds, and like I said, I mean, you just coming over, approaching me and everybody else just welcoming us. I was like, yep, this is where I'm getting my season tickets next season. And that's where I'll be. So
you're giving me a swelled ego. I appreciate it though. But that's what you want to do. You want, as a capo, you're not only there to yell orders and, you're not only there to like be an intermediate if things get rowdy, you're there to be an ambassador. You're an ambassador to the supporters group, inadvertently to the team. Your interaction with fans can make and break their experiences. And you don't want that kind of responsibility. It's a bit much when you put it on its face.
Yeah.
But the idea that, you can make someone want to come back is the ultimate idea. Like, I want Shabilko to make them to want to come back. I want Bedoya and Blake to make them want to come back. And then I want whatever I'm doing to be the one that gets them in the river end and gets them on the Sons of Ben and gets them supporting this team how they've never supported another Philadelphia team before in their life. You know, I have season tickets to the Sixers, and some of my union spills over into that fandom where I'll be extra over there and I'll be trying to put on a little bit too much in the Wells Fargo Center. But in the end, I just miss Chester because it's just, that's where ultimate fan expression can exist, you know, where it really can't in a lot of other sports, at least in the river end. I know that for sure.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, no other sport beats that atmosphere. And like, I'm so happy that, you know, I took that chance to first go to a game after all these years of debating. Okay, well, I guess I'll finally make the drive up to Chester since I live in Maryland. So I'm like, I'll take that hour drive, but it's really nothing. And so then, I mean, just sitting in the river, and I was like, you know what? I need to stop paying for these tickets on StubHub and everything. I need to go buy season tickets and everything. And, you know, now here I am. But I want to move on, though. Who surprised you the most last season?
I think it would be the easiest thing in the world to say Casper, because, you know, I think a lot of us weren't sure when Ernie signed him what that was going to be. You know, he started his career in Bethlehem, and he eventually made it up to the first team. He got hurt, so he wasn't here for a while. And like, you know, with us losing Corey Burke the way we suddenly did, even though he was starting the season well, and then he's just gone. You were very worried that a traditional Union attack, which meaning not much of it. Like, I think all time our number 10s are usually our best scorers, you know, the guys who produce the most. So we usually are not a striker-based system. So watching him perform and just have a nose for the ball, you know, I think I'll look back at his goal on the road against Orlando, where he kind of like takes it all the way in, then it cuts back, lets the defender completely go by him, and then slots it. Like the IQ of that play was, I mean, for me, it was above MLS caliber to me. Just that moment to me was like, this is a world-class level moment in terms of being an offensive player. So that was great to me. But to be honest with you, the real guy was Kai Wagner. Kai Wagner was, I mean, like, just to see him play, because like left back is like the weakest position in soccer. Like, to find a truly great left back is like, you found gold. You found absolute gold. And like, when they called him the machine, that wasn't a joke. It just, his work ethic was phenomenal. His IQ, his aggression. Like, he wasn't afraid of anyone to take him on. And that, to me, was probably one of the biggest differences in why the team was good this year. You know, I thought our back line was solid across the board. I'm a huge Elliott fan. I think he's going to be a really good center back for years to come. You know, but I thought Wagner had such a phenomenal first campaign here, where above all of the selections that, you know, Ernest got, and I mean, Jamiro was fantastic, you know, Wooten put in a couple towards the end that were really good quality. Like, Santos had himself his moments too. I thought Wagner was definitely the biggest one. He was the guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Spot on. And I mean, that's a really good point you brought up prior to that with Shabilko scoring that goal against Orlando. I mean, we even saw it against Atlanta at home. I mean, Sergio Santos played him a really good ball. And I mean, there was a top class finish. And then the LAFC goal he scored too was top class. I mean, for people that are listening, I mean, expect this. If Casper stays healthy, expect this probably to be his last season with the Union. I think he's too good to play for the Philadelphia Union. And I think, you know, if he stays healthy, he can get us 20 plus goals. I think a team in Europe's going to come and give him a chance again. You know, that it was never in doubt that Casper couldn't score. It was just, can he come back from his injury and everything? And it sucks that we saw him get injured at the last game of the season against New York City. And who knows what we could have done in the playoffs, but let's not sound bitter. I mean, this is a really, really, really top-class striker. And same with Kai Wagner. I mean, if he puts in another top-class performance, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone to Germany again too. I mean, like you said, it's really, really rare to find a left back in today's soccer world. And once you have it, we just set. And we saw so many of our attacks this season go through the left side of the field, and it all started because of Kai. And I think he ended the season with 8 or 9 assists. And we haven't seen that in years past with a left back.
And I mean, most clubs in MLS don't even see that with the left back. You know, very few of them will say that, like, they have a guy who will just put up assist numbers, period, let alone that many of them. So, I mean, and you are completely correct. And this is what the beauty of the union is in terms of the MLS system. You know, like, a large chunk of what everyone believes MLS is absorbing older, middle of the road, like, individuals who are not necessarily great, or like who were great, not great anymore. And you still get that with the Zlatans who show up, the Rooneys who show up. But I definitely believe in the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to turn over, and it's going to be more of the Velas, and it's going to be more of the guys who are in the Pavons and the guys who are in their prime, who are using this as maybe a rehab or a stepping stone to another league. Because frankly, I see about 4 or 5 guys on the union, and if Jamaica ever got their national FIFA rankings up to a certain level, about 6 guys that you could easily package and move them up in their careers into another league. And with the system that you have, with your youth academy being borderline the envy of MLS, you have that affordability to say, all right, if Kai Wanger's gone in 2 years, I still got Matt Real to help me out. If I find a way to get rid of Andre Blake, Matt Freese is probably a good enough goalie to play in MLS, and eventually will evolve into a great goalie. You know, you have guys behind Gaddis, you have guys behind Montero, you have like 4 or 5 individuals in your midfield out of your academy in Bethlehem on your 18 right now. You got 2 number 10s in Fontana and Aronson just sitting behind if you bring in another one. So it's like, the union are doing it, I believe, the right way in terms of getting the talent, maturing it, and exporting it. When they start to import and when they start to buy, I believe that buying is going to be different than MLS has seen before, because I'm going to believe it's going to be more towards what LA Galaxy was kind of doing, where we're going to get a really great middle of the road guy who if we're good, we're going to give him to Newcastle in 3 years, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's like, you know, I see people complain all the time, and I mean, maybe it would be great to get Balotelli or Javier Chicharito Hernandez here and everything. But at the same time, too, I mean, Ernst has done a tremendous job getting these players in. Jamir Montero, Kai Wagner, Sergio Santos, players nobody. And if you say you've heard these guys, you're a straight up liar. Like, nobody has heard any of these players before, and they've all surprised us. And I know people will argue, oh, well, we paid over $500,000 for Sergio, and he gave us a meh season. But I think Sergio is going to have an outstanding season next season. I mean, we saw a glimpse of what he can offer in this team. I mean, his speed is top notch, and I believe that is the way to go. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to see a big DP signing and everything, but if you can get these gems in Austria, in Germany, in Venezuela, and Brazil, I'm all for it and everything. Like you said, then you go and make a profit off of those younger guys, and you keep investing into your academy, and then maybe you're hit on one of those academy players and sell them for a couple million over to Europe and everything, and just keep doing it and doing it. And eventually, like you said, teams in MLS are going to copy that same formula.
I mean, the union, I think, led the MLS with homegrown minutes by like a country mile. And the union were, for a good portion of this year, a top 4 team in MLS. And for that, you look at the results of, yeah, you know, bringing in DPs is fun and all, but what did that do to Orlando? You know, like Toronto had a great year this year. What about their off year of the year before? And then they win a cup, and then the off year. Like, to me, it's like, what happened to that lull when they lost Jaminko? Like, to me, it's like, I would love for the union to bring in as top caliber talent as possible. And I'm not necessarily a person who's against that. And I do believe the union need to spend more. I'm not one of these people who is like completely satisfied with how they do it. I do believe a couple more bucks would go a long way. You know, if the union had, and this is not a knock on any of the current men on the roster, but if the union had one of those strikers like a Vela, like a Jose Martinez, this team could have won MLS Cup, because the guys behind them, the roster behind them, was as strong as anyone else's. The Union's midfield is as good as any, like last year was as good as any midfield in MLS. And that was like an honest to goodness truth. And it was cheaper than a lot of midfields in MLS at the same time. So I believe you can find the balance. The Union have been pretty decent in their history in finding, like the results are getting here now, but they've been pretty decent in attempting to find balance. But to go back with what you were saying about, getting guys in like Santos and all that, we've seen this before. It happened with Barnetta, it happened with Nogueira. It happened with, when you get new individuals, it takes a moment, especially with MLS, for these guys to get acclimated. You can go to every Premier League venue within 3 hours of the other venue. In MLS, the closest team to you is an hour and a half away. The next closest is 2, and then we're talking about 6 hours. Travel is 100% different. The physicality of the game is 100% different. We're much more fully soccer here than beautiful soccer. You're going to get beat up playing American soccer. And these guys have to get used to that in a way where sometimes it takes them a season. Sometimes it takes them more than just half of a transfer window. I believe Andrew Wooten could have a fantastic year next year after getting himself acclimated, where I think a lot of the supporters might have already given up on that. It takes a moment. It takes a moment. And I do believe that patience with a lot of this will give dividends, because I understand how the season ended wasn't as satisfactory. It was as good as best Union season ever, but we still have a weird taste in our mouth. But we can also look at the patience that was exhibited prior to this, and it worked, or it paid dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And I just want to move on to a couple players. And first off, Ilsinho, do you think he'll be back next season?
I think it'd be absolutely stupid to not bring Ilsinho back at whatever number he's really asking for, because I don't believe he's going to be asking for something phenomenal. But he was flat out the game changer. And it's I'm a big NBA guy, having guys who can come off the bench and just completely change a game is an invaluable skill that you just can't give up that level of talent if you have it already in your mix. You're not going to get 90 minutes out of him. That's not his game anymore. But the 30 minutes that he will give you could set the earth on fire. And I feel like you got to bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying, I do want to see Ilsinho come back, but there's a part of me that feels like Ilsinho kind of wants to start still, even though he's up there at age 34, 35, and we all know he can't start anymore. If he does start, he only goes 60 minutes, if that, if we're lucky. And so I think, Ilsinho, hopefully he's not asking for too much money and everything. It seems like he loves it in Philadelphia and everything. He's friends, it seems like, with a lot of these guys. It seems like, after the games and everything, he brings his family on the field and everything, and they're just having a ball on the field and everything. So I genuinely think that he likes being in Philadelphia. It's just, I guess, that number that the two sides have to try to work out. But what about the trades of Fafa Picault to FC Dallas for $375,000 and then Auston Trusty to Colorado for $750,000?
So I think the Trusty deal is great because you had to get rid of one of them. And I preferred McKenzie over Trusty in the long term. I do believe Auston Trusty is a phenomenal talent. I think he's going to go to Europe. I think when this is all said and done, he is going to be, he might get he's going to get some caps with the U.S. national team too. But I believe right now, for what the Union have, you have Elliott, where you cannot take him out, because it just, the versatility that he gives you with his side, with his speed, with his coverage, you can't take him out. And McKenzie has proven himself to be one of the best young CBs in the game, hence his continual call-ups to the U.S. national squads. To me, losing Trusty is not a positive, because it's not necessarily a positive, because you are losing a talent, but you got a nice sum for him. As MLS standards go, You got a nice sum for him. And if the reports are to be true from what we heard, There was some, malcontentness. There was some him getting a little bit fed up with what was going on here in the situation. Let him roam. He's a kid, let him get out, let him get to another situation and make him feel better. The Fafa thing was just tactical. The Fafa exists in a system where he needs to be on the wing and he needs to be hanging out by himself on a wing. And the Union are never going with a 3 up top system. And and even when they go to the, system where they got 2 up top or like 3 up, 1 up top, 2 on the outside, a 4-5-2, 4-5-1, if you will. He's not a left mid, he's a left wing. He's a left forward. So it's like, unless you're going to play 3 up top, I don't know if Fafa truly exists in that. And especially if you're going to play a diamond. Yeah. He's great for when it breaks down over time and you're like, okay, I need some speed. I need a game changer. I need someone to come in here and make a play. But you're not putting him in your 11 if that's tactically what you're trying to do. He just doesn't fit those types of formations. He needs space to roam. And if you're putting him up top, he doesn't have enough space to roam. It doesn't work. So that's long story short. Yeah, I was okay with that trade for Fafa. I think, and I like him a lot. He's a great guy, but I think he's going to have more fun in Dallas. He's going to allow himself to be a little bit more free. And this will allow the Union to be tactically more they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I'm just going to say everything you say. I agree 100%. But then we saw the Union let go of Harris Union, which was the right decision, in my opinion. And we saw the Union over the Christmas break sign Jose Andres Martinez, a.k.a. El Brujo, the Sorcerer. He's a 25-year-old Venezuelan center defensive midfielder. He can also play as a right back. The Union paid a transfer fee apparently of $325,000, so not breaking the bank. And apparently he signed a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. What are your thoughts on this?
How do you have a nickname when you're only 25 coming out of the Venezuelan league? I mean, like, coming to MLS with a nickname is weird to me. Because, like, you should be getting your nickname after MLS or during MLS. Like, if you're coming here, what were you doing? Like, where is Venezuelan's league in comparison to MLS? Are we that much of an upgrade? But if homeboy with a nickname's coming in, but that's here nor there. I really like the move because if Harris had any flaw, it was he could get burnt. If someone was really good and really speedy, they could take him off his ankles very quickly. And the guy was a distributor. The guy was a leader. And, you're going to miss a lot of what he brought to you on and off the field. And I know that said a lot about guys, but Harris was one of those individuals where he was a dad. He was a fun dad, but he was definitely a dad. And you're going to miss your dad. You're going to miss a guy like that on the field. But in terms of talent, I think this is good. I think you needed to get younger. I think you needed to get a guy who will play box to box like that. I've seen his tapes, if you will, like all of us said on YouTube. There are highlights. You don't get low light tapes.
No.
But what I've seen. What I've seen, I've liked. I'm not against this at all. And better is, if we're still going to do this diamond thing and we're going to still try to work that out, I believe he complements that more because in a diamond situation, the defensive midi is a sweeper almost. Someone has to stop the striker before he gets to mark and Elliott. Like that has to, and that's what Harris was unable to do. So this guy can be a borderline sweeper type character right there with a little bit of distribution on the side, then I'm all for it. I'm a defensive guy. I like defense.
Yep, me too. Absolutely. And, as you were talking and everything, I was kind of thinking, I'm not comparing this guy to Fabinho, Liverpool's Fabinho, but I know when Fabinho was coming up the ranks and everything, he started out as a right back and then he moved to the center defensive midfielder. And to be able to do that means you're a good tackle of the ball. And so if El Brujo can do both of that, play on the right and play in the middle, he's going to win the ball back first. And, he's 25 years old. Harris was 35, a 10-year difference. This guy is going to be fast. That is something Harris lacked and everything. So if he gets beat and everything, he'll be able to make up with it with his pace and everything. So for people that are complaining on Twitter, oh, I hate this move. Why are we making this? He's not going to be a starter. It's like, this guy's 25 years old. Like, he has all the motivation in the world to become a starter because he's trying to get into the Venezuelan national team. This guy has everything to play for and everything. For people that think, oh, this is just another one of those union signings and everything, everybody was saying the same thing about Kai. And look what happened with Kai. Not saying that he's going to be as good as Kai, but the possibilities there. We like you said, we've only seen the highlights on YouTube and everything. You never see low lights. You only see positive stuff, and we don't even see everything from El Brujo because, it's the Venezuelan soccer league. It's not that big. And, it's like you get what you get and everything. So I'm not writing this guy off. I mean, he hasn't even stepped on the field yet. So for people that are like, yeah, this is a horrible move. I mean, come on, wake up, give the guy a chance. But my question to you, Adam, is can we expect an El Brujo chant in the River End now?
Oh, of course. Of course. I actually wanted to do a lot more player-specific chants this year. I don't think we did enough of that. Ilsinho had his and all that. But, I think one of the early stages of the River End that was best is when we had basically a chant per player. So I want to get that going again. And our little sorcerer, I'm here for that. There's much that can be done with that. And we definitely have a bigger Latino influence in the River End in the last couple of years, which is definitely going to help with that. So I'm excited for it. I think if the people out there on the social medias who are complaining, I think at its core is they want the union to pull the trigger on one of those marquees. One of the biggest issues the union has is we're still marketing Andre Blake as our best player, and he might be, but it's just like, that ain't sexy.
No,
like your goalie being your number one dude ain't sexy. And it's like, if he's the only guy we're using for MLS advertisements, because even though he was a national team member, Alejandro Bedoya ain't moving the needle like that. The union need a sexy name, and not because, maybe just for the sake of having one, because it does move the needle. It does get the people in there. Like having Fabian last year had direct result into people in the River End that I had never seen before. We had a lot from people waving Mexican national flags last year. A lot of people who were casual soccer fans may have watched Liga MX be like, I've seen this human here. I'd like to see him here. I don't think the union need to go get Balotelli. I don't believe the union, because if anything, that's just an indictment on MLS that we can still believe Balotelli is useful in this league.
Yep.
That would be like, if Balotelli gets 20 goals in MLS, then MLS should be ashamed of itself, because we should be getting better.
Yeah.
We should stop. We shouldn't be allowing Zlatan to just walk into our league and run it. That's disappointing. That's it. It is the truth of the matter, but it is disappointing. So I believe the union shouldn't sign someone just to sign someone, but that's what the people are clamoring for, something sexy. The people want to get excited, and the sorcerer doesn't necessarily excite me. But I will say the Mortal Kombat social media that the team used was phenomenal.
Absolutely. I mean, everything that the social media team's done, the media team, it's always been spot on throughout the whole season. I mean, they're the best in the MLS, and I'd even go as far as to say is they're one of the best soccer teams in the world with producing content like that. But then the other player that we just re-signed was Aurelien Collin. And again, I mean, so many people are bashing this move, and it was a one-year deal and everything. It's a veteran leadership. And speaking of El Brujo, there's a young guy coming into the league who's going to be talking Spanish and everything. Collin, communicate with him. And I know you have translators and everything, but you can't compare a player feeling comfortable with a translator to a player. It's just something about player-on-player connection that they don't have with a translator. And so, and I know people are like, oh, well, if you're signing Collin just for that reason, then he should have been a coach. No, I mean, he still offers something on the field. I mean, he's not an MLS starter, but he doesn't hurt for every 5 to 6 starts he gives you, in my opinion. I know the San Jose game, everybody's like, oh, he should have got a red card. That should have been a penalty and all this and everything. But look, at the end of the day, the times that Collin did play, he didn't kill us. And I just don't understand why people are bashing this move. I think Collin was one of the nicest players to talk to and everything, and he was one of the biggest motivators, and he knows his role on this team. And you never want to have a locker room be unsettled. And for a player to say, yeah, I accept being on the bench, motivating, and getting to get these players ready to play in MLS if they're new and everything, I'm all for it, because that's the kind of players that you need. You don't want to sign a veteran that still thinks he has it and everything, and who's going to be causing problems in the locker room. And Collin definitely is not that.
I mean, I looked at this move for what I think most people do, which is you got depth, and you got an MLS veteran, and because you got a bunch of kids on this team, especially with your back line, your two center backs are kids, Gaddis is a little bit older, and he can be a mentor, but Kai is a kid. A lot of your people coming up through the academy are kids. So to have a veteran presence at that position to really show a lot of these young kids, at least just the paces, at least the work habits, like the effort, what is capable to not only play in MLS, but maintain a career in MLS. I think that's very good. I also think, it's a comfortableness that the roster, the Union have with them. I think the Union are still about 2 to 3 decent moves away from this window being closed. The way that they were accumulating assets reminded me a bit of the Sixers were, and I'm just waiting for a couple of splashes to come here and there. When I was talking to a couple of my people in the front office and all that, I was like, so should we go to the airport and, greet the sorcerer? Is this going to be our guy? Is this our signing? And he was just like, I don't think so. I think that means more is on the horizon. I think that means more stuff is coming our way. So if you're going to just if you're going to make Collin sign him on the cheap, as opposed to, I'd rather you do that than go out and get another veteran center back who probably be a little more expensive, who won't have the uniqueness that Collin has as a translator, as a veteran presence, and as a very mature individual for this roster, So I like the move. And I think it's very inconsequential to what happens this season is him just being on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a guy who knows the system and everything. So it's not like, I know most of the moves hopefully are going to happen before the preseason starts and everything, and you have time to learn the system. But this is a guy who's going to go into preseason, know his role, know how the Union want to play and everything. And so he's just going to go in there 100% and know what to do. And some of those guys are going to take a while to get caught up, like we saw with Andrew Wooten. But you kept mentioning you're an NBA fan, so I have to bring this up. So December 20th, Kevin Durant was pictured with the Union owners, Jim Curtin, and Kevin Durant's investors from his investment group, 35 Ventures. Now, we know it's been reported in the past that KD tried to buy stakes in DC United twice, but was denied. Now, the speculation is KD is interested in becoming a part-time owner of the Philadelphia Union. What are your thoughts on this?
It makes sense on multiple levels. Now that he plays in Brooklyn and the way that he signed that contract, it seems like he's going to be in Brooklyn for the foreseeable future. Having a connection to Philadelphia is very easy. It's an Amtrak ride. That's helicopter ride for a lot of these individuals. So that's not a biggie. But it's and to have that type of level of investment can do nothing but a positive outcome to the Union. Even if it's just one of these figurehead positions, to have Kevin Durant at the table when you're trying to sign new players, when you're trying to get new contracts, when you're trying to re-sign players, that's going to go a long way. You saw Houston did this with James Harden. You saw Auston did this with Matthew McConaughey. You have LAFC's ownership is almost a collection of celebrities by themselves. So Seattle, after having Drew Carey on there, now has Macklemore, now has Sierra and Russell Wilson on there. So that it almost seems like a normal thing now. The community, the athletic community, understands the potential of Major League Soccer. They understand why it's growing the way it is. They're understanding why 4 expansion teams will be here in the next 4 years. MLS between when the Union came in and now, I think we've added 12 teams since 2010. Like that grow, and a lot of these teams are not necessarily turning profits, but are not necessary. But like the way that even a team like Cincinnati, who didn't have a good year, their attendance was still phenomenal. Atlanta has blown the doors off of everyone coming in here. Sacramento has been knocking at the door for years, and they're just been like, it's time for us now. Like, I'm a little worried about Miami because of that. Just seems so weird that it's taken so long for them to figure it out. Why did it take them until now to get a coach? Why are they still in Fort Lauderdale for 2 years and all that kind of stuff? Like, I don't think it's going to get NYCFC bad with that, but that's weird to me. But outside of that, you can point to the rest of MLS, and everything is trending upward. So it's obvious why Kevin wanted DC. That's his home. You know, he's from the area. He's from the DMV. And if DC did not let that happen, let it be the Union's game, and let them have an individual who will, as I use this term a lot, move the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Now, I mean, like you said, I mean, he signed a contract with the Brooklyn Nets and everything, but if he does become a part-time owner, could we see you, Adam, wearing a Kevin Durant 35 Union jersey?
Ooh, you know what? Probably not. And only because I have retired a lot of my heckling ways at sporting events. I do it a lot less than I used to because I get older and I just kind of see a little less of the fun in it. But I will say I was at Sixers Golden State 2017, if you will, maybe that season. And me and Kevin might have gotten back and forth into it about me possibly calling him a cupcake and then me preferring chocolate croissants over cupcakes and stuff like that. So I don't know. And he probably doesn't remember me, but he seems like he might. He seems like an individual who might remember who's scorned him throughout. Like, I want to see his Michael Jordan style Hall of Fame speech where he just rattles off every person who's ever talked best to him in the course of his career. But if he does it, if he comes here, I'll get a Kevin Durant 35 Union jersey. I'll rock that thing until the tape pops because I'll rock it on the parade float because I'm assuming that's what the next result is. And I'm really curious to see where the parade route is. Do we do two parades? Is there one in Chester and one in the city? Do we just ride the bus the whole way to Chester after the Philly parade? I got questions.
Yeah, we all have questions, and I saw people talking about that on Twitter today. You know, if it happens, where's the parade going to be? So let's let the people in Chester have a parade. But then, you know, if we do have a parade in Philadelphia, you know, all these fake fans are going to come out. Oh, I've been a Union fan since day one and everything. Yeah, Philadelphia, do or die. This is my team. So I don't know. Maybe having the parade in Philadelphia might not be a good idea.
Let the fake people come. We need the fake people. The union can't afford to throw away the fake people just yet. We need fair weather bandwagon fans for at least like a season or two. I want us to be good enough to have bandwagon fans. Like I remember going on Twitter right after the Red Bull playoff game, and so many people who were in my Sixers Twitter, like, you know, Spear, were casually just like, oh, the Union did a thing today. You know, and like one of my friends said, like he did the joke is like, yeah, I've been a Union fan my entire life. Ever since I was 4 years old, I've been a Union fan. And I was just like, I love these people but like that, we need just like a nice little casual fan thing. Like stay out of the river end, preferably. Not because we don't like you. It's just I got to explain a lot of things to y'all. And there's a learning curve. And that's what we get like trouble and fights and stuff like that. So we get new people to show up and they're just like, why do I gotta stand? Why can't I wear red? It's a Phillies jersey. I thought we were supporting Philadelphia, and I just have to do like the okay, let me give you the pamphlet.
Like, it's posted right outside the doors before you go out to the river end, and so many people just walk right by it like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to that. That's not important.
Like if you buy the ticket, it's on the ticket, but that's here nor there. People don't read fine print. When's the last time you read terms of service on anything?
No, you're absolutely spot on.
It's like you click okay and we move on. So yeah, I mean, but no, I want fair weather people for at least a hot second, and then when we get real good and start winning championships, then I can be snooty.
There you go. Spot on. But so you brought up the playoff win against the New Jersey Pink Cows. And I think I read on Twitter you weren't at that game. I think you gave your...
I was not.
Yeah, I think you said that you were sorry. You had plans and everything with your family and everything. But were you able to watch that game?
Yes. So I had plans. I had family coming off continent. So I had people coming in from Europe to visit me that weekend. And like I had planned that so far in advance, and it broke my heart. And I was hoping it was going to be like, I was hoping for the first round bye. The first round bye would have made everything golden, but it didn't necessarily work out that way. But I watched it on my phone, and I was texting with a lot of my buddies while simultaneously watching it on my phone. And I remember the fourth goal going in, and I just kind of just laid down on the floor. I don't say it was the fetal position, but it was very much curled up, and it was just I got nothing left emotionally in me at that point. I'm just like, okay, it happened. Like we could, and then you had to watch the rest of the game. Like sometimes I want golden goal rules where I'm just like, all right, we're done. He went in, we scored, we're good, we're done. And they're like, no, 15 more minutes. Like, that's cruel. I don't want to have to keep watching.
Well, I mean, we almost didn't even go into extra time if it wasn't for Robles saving Fafa's shot. I mean, that was a blistering shot and everything. And the one thing I didn't want was penalties. I was like, please don't let us go into penalties. I remember in high school, my high school, kind of same way with you, growing up playing soccer. Your college basketball team, we sucked my freshman year up to my senior year. We got better and everything. It was our school's first playoff game in over a decade. And my coach was like to me, he's like, you're a senior, you're one of my 5 for the penalties. I was like, no, this guy's better than me. I'm not going to step up, take the penalty. This guy's going to take the penalty. So I hate penalties. And anytime I see penalties, I always remember that moment. And the guy who took my spot in the shootout missed his penalty too. So I'm like, what if? And I mean, we won the playoff game and everything, but ever since that moment, I hate penalties. So
no, look, man, I love every person who's ever put on a Union jersey. I got no reason not to. Like all these people who decided to play for my particular club, good for them. But man, Andrew Wenger can suck it. And like, I feel bad about saying that, but like, and I know, like, I just can't live that down. Him missing that penalty against Kansas City is just not okay with me. It's just not going to ever be okay. And penalties are the worst. Shootouts and penalties are the worst ways to decide anything athletically in the history of mankind. It completely negates everything that happened prior to it. And half of it's no skill. It's just guessing. It's a guessing game. And that idea that championships can be decided by a rock, paper, scissors, shoot mentality is just stupid. It's just, at least with the hockey shootouts, like technique, like deking is involved. You gotta no. Soccer penalty kicks for championships are dumb. But play into oblivion is my philosophy. Let them have unlimited substitutions. Cycle these players out, play into oblivion. I'm bitter.
I don't know. You might have gave MLS some new ideas for rules. I mean, when MLS first started out, remember that run up for the penalties and everything. So
that was genius.
It was definitely entertaining.
Penalty run-ups, we need to go back. I'll go back to penalty run-ups. We'll do that again. There should be no ties with MLS. Like, I loved that. I loved 1998 MLS. That was the Wild West. They were just like, we have no idea what's going on. Everyone's going to wear the baggiest, largest jerseys of all time. We're just going to have football stadiums ill-equipped to put soccer in them. 7 teams are going to fold, and we're going to have run-up penalty kicks while being sponsored by Sierra Mist as a league. Like, everyone's going to have Sierra Mist on the jerseys. The Wild West was 1990s MLS, and I loved it. And I had to be a DC United fan back then because it was like Philly had no team, and it's sacrilege to root for any New York squads. So the Metro Stars didn't get my love. So I was a United fan back then. And they played in RFK, and that was just so great, too. It was like, you play this, you're the greatest team in this country's, like, short history of this league, and you play in a dilapidated 1967 built stadium. This is MLS. I love it.
Yeah.
I want more.
Come a long way, haven't we?
Oh my God. When they were like, now they were like, all right, so that soccer specific stadium we built for you, it sucks. We're going to put you back in the football stadium.
Yeah, we got to get bigger.
It worked for Atlanta.
Yeah. Man. I mean, I've had a blast. One last question I want to ask you, though, Adam, is can you tell us anything interesting that you guys have planned for the first game next season?
No. Why would I do that? That sounds like a terrible idea.
It does.
I have like only 5 tricks. If I tell you one of my tricks, I lose a trick. No, honestly, next, I mean, like, I can tell you what we have planned for next year. And people always say we're going harder, we're going to be more dedicated and organized, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have more fun. We're going to have more fun. This year was weird because a lot of it was growing pains. A lot of it was transition. We had a lot of new faces and positions of power. We had a lot of just kind of just background BS in the river end. And it kind of tapered what was a really great season. I'll be the first person to tell you towards the end, I had a little bit of burnout going. So I felt when like the New York game was phenomenal. And then when the Atlanta game ended, it was a point to me where I was just like, okay, I can sit down now. Like, I can breathe again. Like my emotions, like it sucks. It hurts, but now I can just transition. That was a very long season. So I want to have more fun. I want to have a lot more fun. I want to get more people involved. I want people to have more fun. And I want to ignore the knuckleheads and the bullshit and the Twitter. I want to ignore all that because a lot of that's inconsequential. A lot of that's stupid. And that's, if there's any piece of advice I can give out to the listeners out there, just ignore the Twitter bullshit, ignore the social media, because it's not real. It's just a bunch of people pretending to be something that they're not, and it's not worth it. You just enjoy the soccer, and enjoy the footy, enjoy the reason why we're there, which is to watch these dudes kick a ball in the net while we're drunk.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. And I've had a blast having you on, but why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm that's Adam Booth, like THATS Adam Booth. On Instagram, I'm Booth Review. So like the NFL, Booth Review. It's just one word. It's very good. And just find Adam Booth on Facebook. But this was a blast. I'm so happy to talk Union soccer. I know we were all kind of getting antsy with the transfer window opening up in a couple of days here for real. And our team having a good year, so now we just want to build on it. So yeah, I'm excited. This is really fun.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have thought of a better person to get on the podcast the end of the year with than yourself, Adam. And this episode, I know everybody's going to enjoy listening to it. I know I had a blast talking to you and listening to your stories. And, I could go all day and everything. But, I feel like, sometimes going over an hour, some people are like, oh, it's too long. But, for me, I can talk forever. So
you are a podcast savant because, anything beyond an hour for a podcast is almost unlistenable. So I appreciate you for understanding that. And let's whenever you want to do this again, hit me up. But this was a blast, and all the flattery that you've been giving me will get you everywhere in life. Don't pretend otherwise. You're a rock star, kid. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll definitely when I see you next season, I'm definitely like, oh, hey, Adam. Now this is me. You on my podcast and everything, and I'll give you a sticker or whatever, and be like, yeah, you're more than welcome to come on. So.
There's stickers. I am all about merch. Yes, you give me a sticker, and we're gonna get an elaborate handshake going. You don't get a normal handshake anymore. There's gonna be like hand slaps, maybe some elbow touches. We're gonna get this together.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks so much again, Adam, for coming on, and you're more than welcome to come on whenever. But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.